All right, we are back with the Dallas Cowboys with negative 2.8 million in cap space. No matter what, though, we know we're going to talk about Dallas Cowboys all summer long. We're at the
Yep.
training camp every year. We talk to fans, we talk to whoever will talk to us. And last year, the vibe we got was, listen, they're pissed. They're sick of not being good. I don't think Dallas Cowboy fans are okay with just being the most popular team anymore. I don't think they're okay with just being in the headlines. I think they're sick of sucking and they want to be good again. And last year, the Jerry Jones and the Cowboys were holding out holding out on Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb because that's what good teams do. They hold out on their stars, and they were doing
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Eventually, they paid them, which I don't know what that was all about then. But here they are now, negative $2.8 million in cap space. They waited and they paid a ton for Dak Prescott. They paid a ton for CeeDee Lamb because they waited. And now here they are with most of their cap space allocated to just a couple of players, and they still got to sign Micah Parsons. And so, unless there's a super long play here that just no one else in the world sees, they're being crazy mismanaged. But I'm going to take over as a GM for this summer, and I'm going to do what I can to make them competitive next year, even with that negative $2.8 million in cap space. We'll start with Deron Bland. Now, Deron Bland, of course, homegrown, the single season record holder for pick sixes. That was the record, right? And so I think they give him what he's worth, 4 years, 95 mil, to be that CB1 in this team. We'll see what Trayvon Diggs is in a couple years, but Deron Bland's kind of the future there at cornerback for the Cowboys. They'll help their cap number and keep one of their own in town. I think before you start to add players to this roster, you got to shore up what is actually good. I think Deron Bland's there. Obviously, the big name that's not on this list because I don't know what their plan is, and I don't know what's going to happen is Michael Parsons. They obviously have to extend him. But starting with Deron Bland, I know it's not a big, sexy move, but I think it's a responsible thing for them to do. My next move is defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa. I think DeMarcus Lawrence moves on. He's older. He's injury prone. The play is starting to decline. I don't think they commit to him. And it seems like a guy who's going to want at least one more payday. I think you bring back, I'll just say Osa, because I don't want to keep having the opportunity to mispronounce that last name. But I think they bring him back. He's not a superstar. He's not what DeMarcus Lawrence was in his prime or anything like that. But he's a solid D tackle who can anchor your defense. And I do think Matt Eberflus is going to work here. Like, I don't love the guy. I don't love him as a head coach for sure. But he's always been able to have a good defense. That's what he's done. And so I think you give him an anchor like this, Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs in the back end, and you're starting to build something here on the defensive side. My next move here, though, is I want to get your opinion on this guy. Stephon Diggs, wide receiver formerly of the Vikings, Bills, last year the Texans. Of course, he missed a lot of the year last year with an injury. Comes back now, older, play declining, coming off an injury. 13 mil is what he's projected at on a 1-year deal. I think it's more like an 8 mil deal for him. But I think going back to play with his brother to the Cowboys, where he'll definitely be relevant. Like, he'll definitely be on a lot of, shows and interviews and all that. Like, he'll definitely be a very present star in the league still. Not sure how good he'll be, but he just needs to be the number 2. And we've seen him be okay with C.J. Stroud in a crowded wide receiver room. I think he's fine here next to CeeDee Lamb, and I just think it's a very Dallas Cowboys move.
Yeah, it's on brand. It's a wideout that likes to, that it's kind of a showman. And Dallas Cowboys want to pick up headlines. So I think, business wise, it's a good move. It fits. It's like on brand. On the field, he's okay. I mean, but they've always had okay. They never, ever since Amari Cooper left, they never had a great guy next to CeeDee Lamb, and it's not gonna change. It's not gonna change with Stephon Diggs. He's gonna be. I think him and Brandon Cooks are very, very similar. And Stephon Diggs will hate that people think that, but it's the reality. They're both average to below average wideouts who have moments of, flashback moments. But Diggs, it's fine. I think the storyline's great. Him and his brother, obviously. It's a Dallas Cowboys signing. You don't really love it, but it just makes sense.
Let's get some context here. Like, the reason you have to do something like this is because the cap number's not good. You have to go bargain hunting. You have to go, just looking for someone who you can give next to nothing to and hopefully outperform his contract. Stephon Diggs is that kind of guy. Do I think they should probably go get Devontae Adams, or go try to trade for T. Higgins, or Cooper Kupp, or just name whoever you want. Yeah, they probably should, but they can't afford it. And Jerry Jones has been increasingly tighter with the budget as he gets older, and I just don't think he's going to go break the bank for one of these premier wide receivers right after he just signed CeeDee Lamb. I'm
Yeah.
guessing he's thinking, I paid CeeDee Lamb. That should be enough as far as the big name guys in the wide receiver room. I'll just build it with cheaper guys around him. I think for that reason, Stephon Diggs is probably the guy or the type of guy you're going to end up with in Dallas. And my next guy is kind of the same thing here. They've been looking for a middle linebacker ever since they lost that great run of middle linebackers they had for a while, the Van Der Esch and whatnot. Dre Greenlaw, formerly of that great defense in San Francisco, the running mate to Fred Warner, one of the best coverage linebackers in the game when he's healthy. He of course got hurt in the Super Bowl, tore his Achilles, came back, was able to finish last year, so he's definitely has some red flags here. But for the same reason, you got to go bargain hunting here. A 1 year, $6 million deal, I think he's happy with that for sure. And and you get a shot here at someone who if he does well, sign long term, you have a great middle linebacker.
Yeah, I think if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, he would have been in that conversation with like Fred Warner's, the Roquan Smiths of the world. Were like, he's not the best, but he's up there. He's top 3, top 5. He just been hurt, and it sucks because he's when he's healthy, he's one of the best linebackers in the game. Can do everything on the field, because injury, he's here, and Dallas needs to go hunting for players like this. Where like if this goes right with the risk, it's a good thing, but it's a risk nonetheless. Like he didn't finish last year. DeAndre Campbell, that whole fiasco happened, and it that just showed that they needed him bad, and he couldn't, and he couldn't fill in the shoes because he's too hurt. But yeah, it's this is what Dallas Cowboys have to do, and then they have DeMarvion Overshown. That's another guy there that we should look out for next year. He's kind of an edge player, so I think he'll fit nicely with that. Kind of like the speed of both those guys will probably be nice next to Micah Parsons. It's a very fast linebacker group for a new defensive coordinator, Eberflus, to kind of play with there.
I don't know if you remember this though. Overshown tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL on his right knee in week 14.
That's what I knew. I was like, why am I not thinking Overshown? Man, he was fantastic. What a bad take. Yeah, he was great. But I mean, nonetheless, in the future, if Greenlaw works out, they'll have him next to Overshown. But
probably on the same timeline, to be honest. Okay, so I want to stop here real quick. Obviously, there's a big name here in the draft we're going to talk about that I think is realistic, but it's a shame that they don't have the money to invest in this offensive line. They're going to lose Zach Martin, the Hall of Fame guard. I don't love their center. I think they're okay at all the other spots. I don't think they're great at all the other spots, but I think they're.
Tyler Smith's pretty. Tyler Smith is the only guy who was like. But besides that, no.
I don't think anything special, and so I wish they could go. I originally had guys like Daniels here, or Trey Smith, or maybe Josh Myers coming over from the Packers, or there's another center I like too that I'm blanking out.
Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly's the guy I had here.
Colt center, yeah.
But they can't afford any of those guys, and so they're gonna have to roll with who they have. Let's move on to the draft though. Ashton Jeanty is who I think they should target at number 12. There's no great Dallas Cowboy team that I can remember either hearing about before I was, an NFL fan, or even while I've been an NFL fan. There's no Dallas Cowboy team that has been good without a great running back. That's just the truth. That's just the Dallas Cowboys. You think of all the greats, back to Emmitt Smith, I'm trying Walker. Why am I not remembering his first name? Is it Herschel Walker? I've read.
Yeah. And then they I know what you mean. They have the
Zeke Elliott, DeMarco Murray, all these guys were we remember the Dallas Cowboy teams being really good with a running back and with the big three. That's kind of their thing too. So you now form a new big three with Ashton Jeanty, of course, out of Boise State, the best running back available in the NFL as far as what we know right now. And with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, you have a big three, and I think there's no other way to make a splash on this offense or team. And so you got to do it in the draft. And so I think you got to take a big swing in the draft if you're going to compete next year. And Ashton Jeanty is the kind of guy I think. Or maybe you go for one of these, top end wide receivers. I like Jeanty though. What do you think?
Yeah, I like him there a lot. It fits what they want to do. Is that last year obviously they were just They're just trying to be cheap at running back, and they actually found something in Rico Dowdle. So I think Rico Dowdle has shown that even like a average to below average running back can do well in this system. So I think
Right.
Genty, who has the promise of like he's the next guy, he's the next, he's number 4 on a lot on Daniel Jeremiah's big board. So yeah, obviously he has talent, and it's what the Cowboys do, and I think he would do great there. They got both the O line a little bit, but yeah, Genty is exactly what the Cowboys need. Like just a guy to bring hope back. To not have to cheer for Rico Dowdle anymore, or for Royce Freeman, or for these guys that they had last year or Deuce Vaughn, who's still somehow in the league. Genty will give them a fresh legs and new energy, and yeah, it's a slam dunk. Because look, the NFL is a copycat league. The Eagles just won with a good running back. You don't think Josh Jacobs had a great year? All these new running backs, Derrick Henry had a great year. It's a copycat league. Jerry Jones, see, I can get a running back like that for cheap. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned Derrick Henry. He got asked about Derrick Henry all year long. As Derrick Henry's out over there having 1,800 yards for the Ravens, and they're struggling with that list of running backs that you mentioned. I think he does not go through another offseason without making a move at running back. I thought Rico Dotto was pretty good, and I even thought about bringing him back here. But I think he's not the splash you need back there. I think
Yeah.
Genty or maybe Anderson really takes off in the draft here. Maybe it's Henderson here, but yeah, I agree with you. I think running back is the way to go. Jerry Jones has been on record of saying it kills him that the Eagles have been successful. It killed him when they won the last Super Bowl. I'm sure this last one he hates as well. He wants to get good fast, and I know something he believes in is having a star running back, and I think he makes the move as well. This is the best I can do with Dallas Cowboys. They don't have a lot of money. Re-sign your guys. You'll get back Dak Prescott, which obviously make a huge difference. They were a legit playoff team a year before. They did get blown out by the Packers in the first round, but they were a playoff team.